What's up, YouTube? T Movies here. Since Billy Crudup is in not one but two films out this he's in the new film After the Wedding, which is in theaters now, and he's in that new Richard Linklater film Where'd You Go, Burn That with Kate Blanchett, which opens this week. I decided to do my top 10 favorite Billy Crudup movies because I've always found the guy to be very underrated. I mean, like not many people really knows who Billy Crudup is, and I've always liked Billy Crudup's work. He hasn't always been in the best stuff, but come on, what actors have been in the best stuff? I mean, let's be for real. And I just always found this guy to be underrated. So, with that being said, here's my 10 favorite Crudup movies. Alright, coming in at number 10 is this film called Stage Beauty. The film is pretty much based in the 1600, pretty much the 1660s of London's theater, and the film is pretty much about the rules of gender roles in theater production, and you got Billy Crudup as this a character named Ned Caniston, who's pretty much a gay cross-dressing actor who has pretty much been playing female parts in plays for years, and so he has a also has like a very close relationship with a member of the royal court who's like the Duke of Buckingham. So like one day, the rules of like only men playing women could change when like aspiring actress Maria, played by Claire Danes, ends up auditioning as a Keniston's praise role. And so like King Charles, played by Rupert Everett, ends up deciding to make the law that all female roles should be played only by a woman and all. And so Maria ends up becoming a star while Ned ends up finding himself out of work. And Ned also finds it in his nature to forgive Maria's aspirations and all that. So like they even may even end up falling in love, and Charles may end up and Charles also may proclaim like woman will be played by either gender and all. And it's a really interesting film, and crazy how like the times was really weird. Like the period times was interesting, and the laws back in the days was weird. But I thought this movie was a really interesting look of what happened in the 1660s and all, and I thought the chemistry between Billy Crudup and Claire Danes was pretty good. It was also directed by Richard Eyre, who I thought did a good job with this. And Rupert Everett as King Charles II was pretty cool. And Billy Crudup, I mean, him pretty much playing a crossdresser looked pretty cool. I thought Billy Crudup was really good at that role, and he gave a really good performance. And I mean, it also looked like the sets also looked pretty cool, especially for a period piece film. And yeah, if you guys haven't seen Stage Beauty, it's a really interesting film. Coming in at number 9 is the film Youth in Origin. Now, the film is directed by Joe David Moore, who you might know as the kind of the bad guy from Grandma's Boy, and he also appeared in Avatar, Hatchet, and a few other stuff. And the film is about this 79-year-old named Raymond, played by Franklin Jello, who is who sadly is dying, and so like he ends up making arrangements to pretty much be in Oregon, and his family like refuses to accept his decision, and so like because he wants to go to Oregon to die and all. So like pretty much but another family member as emergency arises, and so Raymond's daughter Kate, played by Christina Applegate, ends up turning to her husband named Brian, played by Billy Crudup, for a little help, and also Brian pretty much like volunteers to drive Raymond, and as well as his wife Estelle, played by Mary Kay Place, to Oregon, and like they interact with interesting group of characters. It's a road trip movie, and I'm a sucker for road trip films. I do love me a good road trip movie. and Christina Applegate was pretty good. I really like the dynamic chemistry with Billy Crudup and Frank Langella. The one who plays Christina Applegate and Billy Crudup's daughter in this was pretty good. I think it's also probably one of Frank Langella's better performances in recent years. I thought Frank Langella was just great in this. And yeah, if you guys haven't seen Youth in Origin, it's a very underrated film too, by the way. Not many people really talk about this film, but it's actually a really nice little flick. Coming in at number 8 is The Stanford Prison Experiment. Now, the film takes place in 1971, and it's about Stanford's Professor Philip Zimbardo, played by Billy Crudup, who conducts like a very controversial psychology experiment in which like college students pretend to be either prisoners or guards and all, but lots of proceedings ends up getting out of hand, and it's a really intense film. Like these people do crazy stuff. Like these, when they're guards, they do some really intense, crazy stuff. Like, I mean, it's crazy that this movie is based on a true story. Like, stuff in this film really happened in real life. And you also had Olivia Thirlby was also in this. Micah Gerarino was pretty cool in this. You also had Thomas Mann, Nicholas Braun, Ty Sheridan, Matt Bennett. Some really interesting group of cast members. And yeah, if you guys haven't seen Stanford Prison Experiment, I mean, I've probably only seen this movie maybe just once, and that's it. Like, it's a good film, but this is literally one of the movies that's on the list of films that I like, but can't watch again. And Stanford Prison Experiment is definitely one of them. And yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. It's a really interesting film, but intense. Like, intense but interesting, But yeah. All right, coming in at number 7 is a film called 20th Century Woman, which was directed by Mike Mills and takes place during the summer of 1979. And it's about this Santa Barbara single mom and a boarding house landlord, played by Annette Bening, who like decides pretty much the best way she can parent her teenage son, played by Lucas Zuman, is to enlist her young tenants, including a photographer played by Greg Gerwig, and a mellow handyman played by Billy Crudup, as well as her son's best friend, played by Elle Fanning. And she wants them to serve as role models to the kid. And I really really it's more of a Annette Bening's film more than Billy Crudup's film, to be honest with you. But I thought Billy Crudup was still great in this. I really liked his he's not really the kid's dad or anything, but he really was like a father figure to the kid here. And I really liked his chemistry with Annette Bening. And yeah, he was. I think he probably could have gotten an Oscar nomination for this, but didn't happen. But if you guys haven't seen 20th Century Woman, it's a really interesting film. I mean, directed by Mike Mills, Annette Bening. I mean, she's Annette Bening. She's always great. And yeah, it's a really nice. It's also a coming of age film. It's a film about a film about femalehood and all that. And I mean, the movie also takes place in 1979s. So I mean, a nice period piece film too. So yeah, definitely give 20th Century Woman a shot. Not to mention it's A24, so there's that. Anyway, coming in at number 6 is a film called Rudderless. Now, in the film, Billy Crudup plays this high-profile advertising executive named Sam, who's really torn apart when his son ends up getting shot in a school shooting, and so he also drowns his pain in alcohol, and he ends up becoming a real drunk throughout the whole film. But he ends up discovering his son's demo tapes and lyrics, and so he decided so he could grieve a little more instead of just being drowned in alcohol. So he could grieve a little more. He decides to pretty much do sing his son's music, and he also hires he also has some bandmates in this. One of which is played by Anton Yelchin, who was really great in this. And the other is Selena Gomez, who was also great. You also had Lawrence Fishburne was in this. William H. Macy, who By the way, William H. Macy also directed the movie too, so there's that. And it has some really interesting music in it. And it's also probably one of Billy Crudup's most best films in recent, like not best films, but one of his best performances in recent years. I thought Billy Crudup was really good here, and I really liked his dynamic chemistry with Anton Yelchin and Selena Gomez, and oh, not to mention Felicity Huffman is also in this too, so there's that. And I didn't, and Billy Crudup, that guy could sing, by the way. I keep forgetting how good of a singer he is, and that guy could bust out a tune. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen Rudderlust, it's a really interesting little film. All right, coming in at number 5 is the film Spotlight. Now, the film, it of course takes place in 2001, and it's about editor Marty Baron, who's like the Boston Globe, who's pretty much a part of the Boston Globe, who ends up being assigned to a team of journalists to investigate allegations against John Gilgan, who who's like a priest who's accused of molesting more than 80 boys, and it's it's of course led by this editor named Walter Robbie Robinson, played by Micah Keaton, as well as reporters Micah Rigonanes, played by Mark Ruffalo. A few of the other people here who are assigned to interview people includes Rachel McAdams and here you got Billy Crudup, who plays this attorney named Eric McLeish, who ends up who's like a lawyer known for representing hundreds of sexual abuse victims in the Boston area during the Catholic priest sexual scandal. And the movie, of course, won Best Picture, which I meant Spotlight was a good film. I still didn't think it should have won Best Picture that year. I probably would have given it to maybe I don't know, probably Room or something. I thought Room was a better film. Can't remember what else was nominated that year. But that being said, Spotlight was still a really interesting film, and boy, can't believe priests will do that to kids. That's just sickening right there. Like this is actually another movie that I literally just only watched once and did not even bother watching again because this is a little bit of a hard film to watch, especially like some of the characters who are telling their stories of what happened to them, what the priest did to them, and all. It's sickening, and I thought Billy Crudup as the character of Eric was really good. If you Google Eric. Like if you Google Eric McLeish and Billy Crudup, like they kind of sort of look a little bit alike. So I thought that was cool casting. Oh, you also had Leah Schreiber. I love Leah Schreiber in this. John Salary was great in this. I mean, if you guys haven't seen Spotlight yet, go check it out. It's a really good one. All right, coming in at number 4 is going to Watchmen. Now here, Billy Crudup plays the character of John Osterman, aka Doctor Manhattan, who's pretty much like the only member of the group with Geneo superpowers, and you have Billy Crudup who plays Osterman in flashbacks as human and ends up being replaced for his post-accident scenes with cool CGIs. So, cool news: the Billy Crudup's penis shot is not his real penis. So thank God for that, because that Doctor Manhattan is pretty naked throughout the whole film. I mean, yeah, I could have probably done without seeing a blue penis whacking around, but still, Billy Crudup was still cool as that role. I mean, and Watchmen is of course based on the book by on the comic book by Alan Moore. You also had Jackie Earle Haley, Jeffrey D. Morgan, Mullen Ackerman, directed by Zack Snyder, who I thought did a great job with this. Watchmen is very violent. It's really entertaining, and if you guys haven't seen Watchmen, go check it out. And I wonder if Dr. Manhattan is going to be in the HBO Watchmen, by the way, but we'll see there. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen Watchmen yet, give it a go. It's a really interesting film. And Billy Crudup as Dr. Manhattan, I mean, he was really cool too. So, all right, coming in at number 3 is a film called Jesus' Son, which is directed by this director named Allison McLean and stars the likes of Billy Crudup, Jack Black, Samantha Morton, Holly Hunter, Micah Shannon, Dennis Hopper, Dennis Leary, Will Patton. Pretty good cast. And Billy Crudup plays this gentle and mellow young man who pretty much sometimes knows things before they happen and gets vibes from pre motions and all. And so like he ends up telling us his story of how he met his wife Michelle in Iowa in 1971, and how he got his and he also has a name of Fuckhead, so he ends up telling us how he got his name, and he and also his girl also ends up introducing him to heroin, and they end up falling in love with each other. And yeah, it's a really interesting flick. I mean, uh, Billy Crudup, I think it's definitely one of his best performances. I thought Billy Crudup was great in this. Jack Black was great. Samantha Morton. And it's pretty cool seeing Jack Black in a film like this because when you think of Jack Black, you think of like laugh out loud comedies. But Jack Black was really terrific, and his like interaction with Billy Crudup was pretty cool. And yeah, if you guys haven't seen Jesus' Son yet, I'll say go check it out. And the film is also like I guess you could say it's also part faith based too because they're all like stuff about gospel and I mean it is called Jesus' Son after all, so yeah. But yeah, Jesus' Son is a really interesting flick, and I believe this was like one of the like one of the films that really brought Billy Crudup into the spotlight. And yeah, if you guys haven't seen Jesus' Son, it's a really decent one. All right, coming in at number 2 is Going to Big Fish. Now, the film stars Albert Finney as this terminally ill this terminally ill guy named Edward Bloom, and so Billy Crudup plays his son named Willie, who travels to be with him, and William ends up having a same relationship with Edward because his father has told him some very crazy stories about his life. And William never really think that he's never really like told the truth, and also like even on his deathbed. So like William, who's also a journalist, ends up starting to investigate his father's tales and begins like to understand the man's. She pretty much begins to understand him and his penchant for storytelling and all. And of course, you have a really cool circus here. You had a really great cast that include the likes of Billy Crudup, Albert Finney. Rest in peace, Albert Finney, by the way. You also had Steve Buscemi, Danny DeVito was in this. You had a very young Miley Cyrus. Ewan McGregor was great. Alison Lohman, Helena Bonham Carter. Directed by Tim Burton, who I thought did a really cool job with this. Yeah, it's not really Tim Burton's best work or anything, but I still thought it was a really decent film. It's part fantasy, it's part inspirational, and I like the flashback scenes with a very young version of Albert Finney. And yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen Big Fish, but it's a really interesting one. And if you guys haven't seen Big Fish, go check it out. Right, coming in at number 1 is going to Almost Famous. Now, of course, this is the classic film directed by Cameron Crowe and takes place in the early 1970s and stars Patrick Fugit as this character named William Miller, who's a 15-year-old and aspiring rock journalist who ends up getting a job for writing for the Rolling Stone magazine. And so, like, his first assignment, during his first assignment, he ends up touring with the band Stillwater and writes about the experiment on. And so like Miller ends up getting to see what goes on the behind the scenes in a famous band and all. And so like this movie is really like a love letter to to classic music and all. And it's also like an interesting road trip film too. And so like the band ends up hooking up. Pretty much, the band ends up hooking up with And so like the band he ends up hooking up with is named Stillwater, and he ends up talking his way backstage in San Diego by like knowing the band members' names and all. And so like one of the guitarists is played by Billy Crudup, and the character name is Russell Hammond, who ends up laying him in. And so like backstage, he ends up meeting his guy to the New World, and you also got Kate Hudson, who plays this girl named Penny, who's not really a groupie that she explains and all, but it's like a band aid. And it also has lots of it has an interesting cast too. Like you had the late great Philip Seymour Hoffman, Zoe Deschanel was in this, Frances McDormand, Frances McDormand, by the way, plays the lead's mother, who I thought was great. You also had Jason Lee, Anna Paquin, Jimmy Fallon, Eric Stonestreet. Really cool cast. And it's a really interesting movie about. It's not really a movie about a real life band. It's more of about fake band, but it's still a really interesting film. Has some really great music in it. Great performances by Kay Hudson, by Patrick Fugit, um, by Billy Crudup. I thought Billy Crudup as a guitarist, how cool is that? I mean, of course he's no stranger to music based stuff because, like I say, he of course sung in Rudolph. And yeah, Billy Crudup was. I thought he stole lots of scenes in this, and I liked his chemistry between with Patrick Fugit. Their chemistry is pretty good. This was also the movie that put Kate Hudson on the map for many people. I thought Kate Hudson was cool. So yeah, if you guys haven't seen Almost Famous, go check it out. I mean, it's of course one of Cameron Crowe's best work. Really, I mean, Cameron Crowe's always cool, and this is definitely one of like his better films. Next to Say Anything, probably. But yeah, but believe it or not, next year, Almost Famous, by the way, turns 20 years old. I mean, as we speak, Almost Famous is like 19 years old this year. So next year, Almost Famous is going to be 20. Wrap your heads around that. So, yeah. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me do the quick run now. 10. Stage Beauty. 9. Youth and Origin. 8. The Stanford Prison Experiment. 7. 20th Century Woman. 6. Rudolph. 5. Spotlight. 4. Watchmen. 3. Jesus' Son. 2. Big Fish. 1. Almost Famous. Now, Billy Crudup has done lots of other films before as well. Let me pull up his credit list. Alright, his other films includes Without Limits, Alien Covenant, Mission Impossible 3, The Good Shepherd, Public Enemies, Blood and Ties, Waking the Dead, Sleepers, Charlotte Gray, which also had Kate Blanchett, who's also in Where'd You Go Burn That, so that's pretty cool that they've done a movie before this. He was also in Advancing the Abbots. He was great in Thin Ice, Jackie. He also, like, before, after the wedding, he's actually worked with Julianne Moore in other stuff. Like, he worked with Julianne Moore in the film Trust the Man and the film World Traveler, so that's pretty cool. He also played Barry Allen's dad in Justice League. And he's still, like, there's still rumors about him probably still being the Flash, but God knows if the Flash is ever going to happen. So, I mean, if Ezra Miller's probably not going to be reprising his role as a Flash anytime soon, I'm pretty sure we're not going to see Billy Crudup, in the Flash either. So, yeah. But let me leave it to you guys. What are some of your favorite Billy Crudup movies? Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This here is T Movies signing off.